Good morning. And welcome to Emerson Unitarian Universalist Congregation. My name is Bernadine Cataletta, and I am today's worship assistant. It is so good to be together with you here in person and online. Our speaker today is Alex Douglas. It was 3.5 years ago that Douglas and his family walked into Emerson and never looked back. Today, Alex is the creative heart of many of the RE activities. You'll often find him at his happiest while he's carving pinewood derby cars or plotting the next great murder mystery night. Along with Celeste, who is a fellow enthusiast at their monthly game nights, Alex has fully embraced our community, and we are honored to have Emerson as their spiritual home. Welcome, Alex. And next week, Reverend Christina will be back in the pulpit. We come together here with our joys and sorrows, whether we need to rest and retreat, or maybe we're ready to take action. Whether you are a newcomer or a longtime member or friend, all are welcomed here. We believe that every human being is born with dignity and beauty. Because of this, we are inextricably connected one to the other. Whether we are trans or cis, queer or straight, disabled or neurodivergent, from every culture or country of origin, we recognize our worth is shared, especially by those who must be courageous just to be themselves. We work to build a beloved community here at Emerson, where all people, creatures, and the earth can thrive. These are the promises we make to each other. If you're here in person, we invite you to join us for social time following the service for light refreshments. Our main fellowship hall is on this floor, directly behind the sanctuary, and you can reach it through this hallway. Our family-friendly fellowship hall with snacks and activities for all ages is upstairs in room 214, and it's accessible by the back stairs or by the elevator. After fellowship time, please join us for religious exploration and small group gatherings. It's listed on the back of your order of service. And now we light our chalice as a symbol of Unitarian Universalism and our commitment to be a beacon of love in the world. Clara Douglas will light our chalice. Perfect. These words are adapted from the writing of Andrew Pakula. O sacred flame, blaze forth and guide us with the light of hope, the warmth of love, and the beacon of purpose and meaning. Because as we are all afraid of the dark, let there be light from this chalice flame. And now in the spirit of love and beloved community, let's share our congregational affirmation: we need not think alike to love alike. Next, let's greet and welcome each other to this new day, Those in the sanctuary, feel free to turn to your neighbors and offer greetings. And for those online, please use the chat to introduce yourself. And now, please rise in body or voice as we join together in song. Our opening hymn, Gather the Spirit, number 347 in the hymnal, Gather the Spirit.
Good morning. I'm Carol Shoemaker, and I'm a member of the pastoral care team. Now we pause. Is this mic working well for y'all? Okay. Now we pause and reflect on matters of the heart. Thank you, Clara, for joining me. Each week, you are invited to write a joy, sorrow, or concern in this book, or mail it to the pastoral care at emersonuu.org to be read and shared with the congregation. We begin by placing 3 stones. The first stone, in honor of the Cherokee and Muskogee nations of indigenous people whose land we reside on. Number 2, in memory of those wrongly enslaved here who labored on this land. And 3, for all those hurting in current conflicts and war across the globe. The first is from Mary Frances Engel. My sister Jean had surgery. I'm sorry, I gotta take my glasses off. Had surgery to repair her heart on Wednesday, and surgery to repair the first surgery on Thursday. Please pray for her speedy recovery. The second is from Trin Lyons. Please keep the father of one of Harley's classmates in your heart. He has been in the States for over 10 years as a legal asylum seeker and was detained in January with no sign of being released. The next is a joy from Sarah. I got a gecko named Chip. And the last is also a joy. This is a joy from the Emerson community in appreciation and gratitude for the time and hard work the Technical Communication Task Force, TCTF, has put into making intra-Emerson email better. Special kudos to Dave Schimmel, chair of the committee, for his time, patience, and kindness in helping so many of us make our email work. Please give a shout out to them all and thank each personally. And I was one of the beneficiaries of this kindness, so. In thankful awareness, let us say the Buddhist prayer of loving kindness. Please read the words with me on the screen. Loving kindness, may we all be free from harm and suffering. May we all be well in body, heart, and mind. May we all be at peace. Blessed be.
Good morning, y'all. I'm Douglas Futch, and I'm the president of the Board of Trustees. Each year we pause to remember what Emerson truly is. It's not just a building and not just a Sunday routine, but a living, breathing community shaped by the people who walk through its doors. Emerson is where we show up for one another, where children grow in confidence and wonder, and where adults rediscover hope, and where we practice the kind of love and justice the world so desperately needs. It's time again for our stewardship season, but it's not just about funding a budget. It's about sustaining the community that sustains us, the place where we find belonging, meaning, courage, and connection. Together, we choose to keep Emerson strong, welcoming, and vibrant, and for a community for everyone who needs it. The deal is that it costs $1,130 a day to keep this place going. It's a lot, actually. The budget is over $400,000 a year. We need everyone's help to keep it going. If every family in the congregation just supported 2 days, my life would be so much easier. But I realize that's not always possible for everyone, so if you can only support an hour, that's fine. If you can support like 20 days, that would be even better. I'm okay with that too. Or 300 days would be even greater. But I'll take what I can get. My point is, we all love it here, but we also need for it to remain here, and in order to do that, we have to support ourselves. There are packets in the back if you haven't done your stewardship commitment for this coming up year already. There are packets in the back. There's information on how to determine your pledge in there, and also a little form you can fill out, put in the pretty little red envelope. You can either hand it to me, take it to Emily, or you can put it in that collection boxes in the back, or it's also instructions on how to enter your pledge directly into RELM yourselves. So I really appreciate your support. We are running behind, not so much on dollars, but on pledge people. We had more than almost 130 pledges last year, and we're like 30 right now. So it'd be really nice if we could bump up the numbers a little bit. So I appreciate your time. Thank you.
One of the things that I love about Emerson is that our beliefs are not simply beliefs, but that every week we are called to put those beliefs into action. And one of the ways we do that is through Share the Basket. Our offering is an affirmation, a yes. When we give, we say yes to something that we value. With our gifts freely given, may we say yes to the values of our Unitarian Universalist faith. Each week, Emerson shares half our offering with community partners beyond our walls. This month, we will share our offering with NAMI Cobb. NAMI, the National Alliance for Mental Illness, is an organization that supports families, friends, and individuals whose lives have been affected by mental illness. Please reach out to Reverend Christina and the pastoral care team if you need additional information and support for yourself or a loved one. For those in the sanctuary, as the basket is passed, please feel free to offer a donation or see in your order of service other ways to give. For those online, go to emersonuu.org. Select the Giving tab to donate. For the children and those with a sweet tooth, there are lollipops in the basket too. The morning offering will now be given and received with gratitude.
Good morning, good morning, good morning. Can I have the young and the young in heart come up here and join me with Mr. Knoll?
Hello, I am Noel Garwick, and this is a story for all ages. Today I brought a friend. It's nothing to do with the story, but they said I can write it off of my taxes if I use it. And Michael didn't go for the story of PlayStation 5 and Xbox and their trip to get a new iPhone, so we're going to be reading Great Cat instead by David McPhail. Which the back of the book explains David McPhail is the tallest illustrator, I think, in the world, or maybe just in New Hampshire. I don't know if that's true, but how could we disprove it, right? So if you can see the pictures up there, hopefully that's good enough. We'll start on the first page. Oh, there is a bird in there. Great Cat was the biggest cat that ever lived. No one knew where Great Cat came from or how she got to be so big. She just appeared one night on Toby's doorstep. She was only a kitten then, but she was as big as a full-grown lion. Look how cute she is. Next page. Toby had always wanted a kitten, so he invited Great Cat into his kitchen where he gave her a bowl of milk, then another bowl, and another. And that was the start of a wonderful friendship. As she grew, Great Cat needed more and more food. Every day she drank gallons of milk and ate dozens of fish. Toby bought a cow so Great Cat would have enough milk. He brought a boat, and every morning before going to work, Toby went fishing. Next page. The bigger Great Cat grew, the more fish she ate, and the more fish Toby had to catch. One day, Toby was so tired from catching all those fish that he fell asleep at his job and was fired. Toby enjoyed being home all day with Great Cat. They went for walks, and Great Cat let the neighborhood children ride on her back. And I like the picture here because one of the kids looks like it's screaming. But they're having a good time. If you have kids, you understand. Next page. But the mothers and fathers were afraid for their children. Great Cat must go, they told Toby. She is so big, she might hurt someone. If Great Cat goes, I go too, said Toby. So he sold his house and moved with Great Cat and the cow to a small island in the ocean. So I like that the cow has its tongue out. It's very cute. They missed the children, but there was plenty of green grass for the cow, and the ocean was full of fish for Toby and Great Cat. They built a small house out of driftwood and straw. And you see Great Cat's even helping? That's a Great Cat. So next page. Toby and Great Cat fished and explored the island. After supper, Toby read to Great Cat until it was time for bed. And it's like Totoro or something, just sleeping on there. So cute. One morning, there was a terrible storm. Great Cat and Toby were watching the waves when they heard cries for help. They saw a small boat tossing wildly. On the next page, Toby started to drag his own boat to the water, but Great Cat jumped into the crashing wave. Great Cat swam until she reached the sinking boat. Someone in the boat threw a rope to Great Cat, and she grabbed it. Holding the rope between her teeth, Great Cat swam back toward shore, pulling the boat. And then Great Cat struggled through the waves. When she got to shore, Toby helped her pull the boat up onto the beach. Look how tired she is. So on the next page, they warmed up. Toby saw that the boat was filled with children who jumped out of the boat and hugged Great Cat and Toby. Toby built a fire and warmed some milk for Great Cat and the children. And I didn't write the story because I would have eaten the children. Slowly, the storm passed on the next page, and the sea grew calm enough for the children to return to their camp on a nearby island. As the children sailed away, Toby called after them, "Come back and see us." And at the very end, they did, often. How'd you guys like that story? I only ask if it's a good story. Sometimes people say no. What's that? Why doesn't the great cat go and hunt? Well, it depends on what you think the story's about. So I think that great cat is a thing that all of us kind of have in our lives sometimes, right? It's a big thing that can be a huge pain. It can take up all your time. It can cause you to lose your job. But life isn't really as special without it, right? And sometimes it can save your life for the lives of others. So it's because it's a metaphor, and it's a kid's book. That's why it doesn't hunt. Yeah.
All right, before we sing our song of dedication, the words are on the back of your program in the congregation. And for those who are visiting, we do stand up to do this. And anyone 7 and under can meet me at the back to go to the playroom.
Good morning. My name is Alex Douglas. I am grateful to be here. I'm glad that Reverend Christina allowed me the chance to speak today. And I'm grateful for all of you that you, as you were driving in today, that you saw my name on the board and didn't turn around and go back home. Which I assume that most of you wouldn't do. But in all seriousness, though, I do recognize the fact that you are entrusting me with a part of your Sunday morning. And I hope that I can live up to that trust. So I asked Reverend Christina if I could speak today, because I want to talk about an issue that is sacred to me. And I wanted to answer a question. And the question is, what is the meaning of life? And I realize that sounds ridiculous, right? That I can hear you rolling your eyes as I say that. But I do. I actually have the secret to the meaning of life, and I wanted to share it with you all today. And so just brace yourselves. So I'm going to start, Josh, if you wouldn't mind putting up the display. I want to start with, this is my sister, Amber. My sister, Amber, was an amazing person, but she had bipolar disorder, and which means that she would go through intense bouts of depression. And she lived at a time when we didn't understand bipolar disorder as well as we do today, that there weren't the same kind of treatments available. And she did the best that she could. And on the day that I turned 13, I came home from school, ready to celebrate having just become a teenager. And instead, a policeman knocked on our door and said that my sister had just lost her battle with depression and had taken her own life. And I mean, you can imagine how this turned our family upside down, right? How just the amount of grief we went through. I mean, this was my sister. This is someone who I had laughed with, I had cried with, who used to hug me and call me her little nerd. And she was gone. And this, again, just the grief that we went through is hard to even describe. And as my parents were going through her things, they discovered something. They discovered that she had been donating every month money to an orphanage in India. And so in an effort to bring about some kind of good from this horrible experience, they asked that for the funeral, people not send flowers, but instead send money to this orphanage in her name. And donations poured in. They raised so much money that the orphanage reached out to my parents and said, hey, would you come out here? Would you be willing to come to India and see what we're doing, what the money you're bringing in is enabling? And my mom said yes, and so she flew off to India, and what she saw there changed her life forever. So she landed in Chennai, which is in southern India, and as she got in the car to go toward the orphanage, every time the car would stop, the car would be surrounded by beggars. And these weren't normal beggars. I mean, these people were greatly disfigured. They would be blind, they would be missing fingers and toes or arms and legs. They would come up to the car and ask for money, oftentimes with pus oozing out of their sores. And my mom was just so taken aback. She just couldn't believe what was happening. And she asked the driver, says, "Who are these people?" And the driver said, "Oh, ma'am, these are lepers." And my mom thought, wait, that can't be real. Leprosy doesn't exist anymore. I mean, she read the Bible. She knew that, like, back then there was leprosy, but she had assumed it had been cured since then. And the man said, "Oh, no, ma'am, we have hundreds of thousands of lepers here in India." And it turns out that the people on the street were only the tip of the iceberg, that there are hundreds of colonies throughout the country where people go to live with leprosy. That when they're there, they are often, they live on the brink of starvation. There are no jobs, there's no running water. The kids there will often sort through the trash to find something that's even remotely edible. And my mom, when she saw this that night, I mean, she just couldn't sleep. I mean, every time she closed her eyes, she would see these images of the beggars, of the people with leprosy, of the children. And she just thought over and over again, someone should do something about this. Someone should really do something. Until finally she had the realization that, wait a minute, I'm someone. And I don't know what I can do, but I'm going to do something. So she got home and she told my dad, she said, "John, I'm going to start a charity. And we're going to work with people who have leprosy in India." And to understand how crazy that sounds, you have to understand that my mom never even graduated from college. She dropped out. She didn't know the first thing about how to run a charity, how to raise money, how to do medical care, about anything about leprosy. She knew essentially nothing. At the same time, there were also 8 children at home. My house was crazy growing up. So there were 8 children still at home, and my dad was working full-time, which meant that she had exactly 0 time to spare. And yet she knew she needed to do something. So she and a few friends got together over our kitchen table, and they started a charity called Rising Star Outreach. And they didn't know where to start, but they figured the best place would probably be with medical care. So she started raising money, and leprosy, what you have to understand here is that leprosy is a disease that attacks the nerves in your extremities. And so people who suffer from leprosy, they often can't feel their arms or their legs or their hands and feet, and so they will bump into things. They will get these wounds, and then the wounds will never really heal. They will keep opening these wounds back up again until eventually they get infected and the arms, the fingers, the legs will fall off. And so my mom said, well, let's raise money, let's get a doctor. Let's go out there and let's start treating people. So they started where they could. They got one doctor, and they were just there on the ground treating what they could treat. They would get a scalpel and they would cut out the dead tissue. They would wrap the wounds up and send people on their way. But of course, the wounds opened back up again because, again, there was so many people who needed help and only one doctor, and what could you really do? And so she continued to raise money and get people involved until eventually they were able to start a mobile medical clinic. They would get a van and they would actually drive around the entire country, helping treat lepers all over the country, helping them not only treat the wounds, but also giving them bandages, teaching them how to care for the wounds themselves. And you can see here, this is the van that they take around. And not only do they treat the wounds, but they started helping with making the shoes so that people who didn't have part of their feet could walk, helping make prosthetic limbs. At times, even the people with leprosy, they don't have clean water. And so she would bring volunteers who would just get plastic buckets and would sit down with these people and would help just wash their feet, help give them a sense of dignity that they mattered, that there are people out there who care about them. And so you can see here, I want to show y'all just a quick video for people doing AV. I'm going to switch over to the video feed. Just a quick video that shows just some of the things that happen as they go about doing this medical treatment.
I could write a song about every little thing that goes wrong, and I could write a song about every time that I fall. But today I choose to forget it all. And I'm grateful for this day I have to live, and for my health, and for each breath I have to take in. And I'm grateful, yeah, and I'm thankful, and I'm grateful. Some days are not so great, and nothing seems to go my way. Then I remember that I have no right to complain. It'd be a foolish thing to say, 'cause I've been blessed, and I'm grateful, and I'm thankful, and I'm grateful. And I'm grateful for the freedom that my country brings, and for the choice I have to sing what I wanna sing. I'm grateful for these worn out shoes that I wear, and I'm thankful because at least I have a pair. I'm grateful, I'm thankful, and I'm grateful. And some days are not so great, and nothing seems to go my way. But then I remember that I have no right to complain. It'd be a foolish thing to say, 'cause I've been blessed, and I'm grateful, I'm thankful, and I'm grateful. And I'm grateful for the struggles in my life that I've had, 'cause it's times like these that make me who I am. I could write a song about every little thing that goes wrong, and I could write a song about every time that I fall. But today I choose to forget it all. And I'm grateful, and I'm thankful, and I'm grateful.
So this medical practice has grown and grown to the point that now they're on track to deliver 70,000 medical treatments this year alone. And every one of those people has a story, has a family, has people that care about them. One of the other things that you'll see is that as the volunteers go there, in India, when you contract leprosy, you are then deemed to be untouchable. That you're the lowest caste possible, and even your touch can contaminate people. And so the volunteers make a point to hug them, to hold their hands. This is actually my mom right here with the woman who's been afflicted with leprosy. Now, it quickly became apparent that leprosy is not just a medical problem. It turns out at the colonies, there are no jobs. These people are often missing fingers, limbs. They can't do manual labor. No one's going to hire them for anything. And so they began offering microloans. They teamed up with another organization to say, how can we get these people to get businesses? And so This is a man named Gopal. One of the first microloans they did was they went to him, my mom went to him and said, Gopal, if you could do anything you wanted to, what kind of business would you start? And it turned out Gopal loved tea. He said, I would love to just sell tea. If I had $4, I could buy a teapot and some cups and I could start selling tea. And so he took out a loan for $4 and started selling tea on the side of the road. And he paid that loan back and then took out another loan to buy a bicycle so he could go around and sell tea. And Gopal now owns his own tea shop. And you can see him here separating the leaves out. And it's interesting because a few years ago, and this is a $4 loan that started this. A few years ago, a journalist from the Atlanta Journal-Constitution heard this story about Gopal and came out to see and asked him, said, what's the biggest difference in your life now? Now that you have this business that you run, what's the biggest difference for you? And his answer was actually really surprising because everyone thought he was going to say, well, now I can eat every day, or now I can feed my family. But he didn't. He said, when I used to beg on the streets, I would beg in front of a store, and the owner would come out and would yell at me and would curse at me and threaten me until I left. But now he supplies tea to that store. And he says, now when I go, the owner puts out a chair for me and offers me tea. And it's interesting that when given the question, what has been the most impact in your life, it was not that he could eat every day now, but it's the dignity that he has in being treated as a person with respect. This, by the way, has happened over and over and over again. So these loans that are given out are used, people use these to buy cows, to sell milk, to start ironing businesses, to do sewing and spinning, to run stores, to do carpentry. Even you can see this person here sculpting or doing art. In fact, Rising Star has sold over $30,000 worth of art made by those afflicted with leprosy in India. And one of the things that this has done that's been truly amazing is that today, if you go to Chennai, you won't see lepers begging on the street. It's this incredible change that's taken place. Now, you have the medical piece of this. You have the self-sufficiency, helping people be able to sustain themselves. But another major problem is discrimination, as you might imagine. If you have leprosy, you are seen as an outcast. And your kids, no one's going to send their kids to school with your kids. And so your kids go off to live in the colonies with you, and they will live their entire lives there in the colonies. And they will stay there until they contract leprosy, and until they start losing limbs, and their own kids will contract leprosy, and this goes on in this endless cycle. And so my mom decided we need to do something to get these kids out of these colonies and give them a chance at a normal life, at some opportunity. And so she started a school. And this is here the first group of kids that she had, started with just a few dozen kids. And again, just how cute they are. Just the smiles are just heart-melting. And so it was just this one-room school where the kids would come in and they would sleep all together and on one mat at night. And with just this small school, the waiting list soon grew to hundreds of kids, hundreds of people who wanted to have their kids have a shot at a normal life, to get out of the colonies, to break that cycle of always staying there and never having any job and begging for their entire lives. And as my mom continues to raise money, this grew and grew until today they own their own land, they have their own school. This is the elementary school that they now run. And you can see this is actually the first day of school, the kids running to class with no shoes on as they're running. And I teach at a high school, and I see drop-off at my school, and the parents drop the kids off, and everyone's got their heads slouched down, and they're trudging toward their classes. And these kids cannot believe that they are given the chance at an education here. They are just so excited that they are going to get this opportunity. We now actually run two schools, one in northern India, one in southern India. This is the high school that we now run. And to help pay for all this, what happens is that sponsors in the United States are paired with the kids, and the kids will write back and forth with their sponsors. So they'll communicate with them, and the sponsors, if they ever go to India, they will then get to meet these kids whose futures they are enabling. And the reason I love this is because you get to see that this is going to sound really cliche, But you get to see that the cliche is actually true, that the more you give, the more that you get back for yourself. Because you see here that not only are the kids happy, but just the smile on the sponsors' faces, right, as you get to see and interact with these kids that they're helping give a future to. Again, just the pure joy. Now, it's really easy to look at something like this and say, like, oh yeah, people are being helped, and that's great. In fact, our schools right now, they serve over 1,000 kids in the schools in India. And it's easy to say, like, oh yeah, that's good, but it's not the same as actually seeing it in action. So I want to just tell you a quick story about a girl. So this is a girl named Jennifer. This picture was taken years ago. Jennifer had the first stages of leprosy, which you can actually see in the picture. You can see on her arm there. At this stage, leprosy is actually very easy to treat. It takes one packet of pills, costs only a few dollars to do. But what you have to understand, though, is that leprosy in India is seen not as only a disease, but as a curse. That because of the idea of reincarnation in Hinduism, the idea of karma, the thought is if something bad happens to you, that's because you did something bad in the past to deserve it. And so someone like Jennifer contracts leprosy, and the thought is, well, in a previous life, she must have done something really terrible to deserve this. And so maybe it's sad, but she's been, not that she's sick, but she is cursed. This is the gods have let us know that she is not worthy of being with the rest of us. And so the mother saw her leprosy and couldn't take it. And so one day she took Jennifer out and put her down on the side of the road and walked away and left her there to die. And thankfully, her grandfather happened to be walking by and heard the screams and took her in and begged Rising Star to let her into her schools, to give her a chance at a better life. Excuse me. This is Jennifer at 5 years old, going into the school, and not only has she been cured of leprosy, not only does she have friends, but she actually went on to not only go through elementary and middle school, but to graduate from high school. She has since gone on to medical school. This is her today, now works as a nurse anesthetist. And this kind of story happens over and over and over again, has happened thousands of times for people who are given something new. And in our schools, the kids there are given a world-class education. We teach them how to use computers, how to do coding. They're taught English by volunteers from the United States. One of the big problems that in rural India, the schooling is pretty bad. A lot of teachers will just lecture. They will just talk for an hour straight with the kids, just memorize things by rote memorization. And so I actually work with the teachers in India. So this is me. These are all of our teachers at our schools. I've trained every one of them. I work with them actually on an almost daily basis. In fact, just yesterday I got an email from one of the teachers, sent me a video recording of their class asking for feedback about how to make their class more interactive, how to teach more critical thinking. And it's to the point now where our schools are one of the top-rated schools in all of India, and they are filled with the children of lepers. Now, I told you when we started today that I was going to tell you what the meaning of life is, that I was going to answer that question. And I know right now you are thinking to yourselves, he is going to say something stupid. He's going to say something like, oh, the meaning of life is to help other people, and that's great. And I promise I'm not going to say that. The meaning of life is not helping other people, even though that would be nice. I am going to tell you the secret of the meaning of life. But before I do, there's something that you need to know about me. And that is, I mentioned earlier that my sister struggled with depression to the point that she took her own life. And as you may know, much of mental health is genetic. And as a result, I also struggle with depression. Now, I have an amazing life. I truly do. I have 3 beautiful kids. I've got an amazing family. I've got a job that I love. And yet there are still days when the world seems gray. Not because I'm a bad person, not because I don't try hard enough, but that's just the genetic hand that I was dealt. And there are still moments when I wonder, what is the purpose of all this? What is the meaning of life? And the answer is that I don't know. That I don't know what that I don't know what the meaning of life is. I'm not a theologian. I'm not a philosopher. I don't have some grand secret I can share with you about the meaning of life. I have no idea what the meaning of life is. But in those moments, I can't answer the question, but I can change the question. That the question should not be, what is the meaning of life? Because that question ultimately, I think, has no answer. The question that we can ask, though, is, what is the meaning of my life? What is my life's meaning? And that's a question that I can answer. As I look back at my life and ask myself, what are the moments that give my life meaning? I can see thousands of moments that give it meaning and purpose. One of those moments is, this picture right here was taken when I was 15 years old. I was in India, and we were working with the children's home that had opened at the time. And there was a girl brought in, her name is Ronnie, and she was really reserved, wouldn't interact with the other kids. I don't know what had happened to her. I don't know what abuse she had gone through, what neglect she had gone through, but she wouldn't interact with the other kids. But for whatever reason, she every day would crawl up to me, and I would hold her. And for every day that summer, as I was in India, I would hold that girl. And I did that all the way until I had to come back to the States. Now, a few months later, a woman showed up to the children's home claiming to be that girl's mother. And we couldn't keep her in the home. We had to let her go. And I don't know what happened to her. I don't know if she continued to be abused. I don't know if she was neglected, if she died, if she wanted to live a happy life. I have no idea. What I do know is that for those few weeks, I was able to hold her. That I was able to make her life just a little bit better. And that is the meaning of my life. That there is someone out there whose life would be just a little bit worse if I weren't there. Now, I can't solve poverty. I couldn't save this girl. There are all kinds of things that I cannot do. I am only one person. But that is what gives my life meaning. Now, there are millions and millions of people out there who need help, all over the world and right here, who need help. And so, as I think about not only something that's in India, but even right here, I've got 3 kids. 3 kids that they drive me crazy sometimes, but I love them so much. And if I weren't here, their life would be worse. Every time I sit down and help my children with their homework, that is one thing that they wouldn't have if I weren't here. That my students at school, that if I weren't here, their classes would be that much worse. The activities that we do here at church, they're not amazing. And yet if I weren't here, there would be one less thing that the kids here would be able to do. The kids in India that I'm able to help, if I weren't here, their education would be just that much worse. And so what I have done is I have put myself into a network of people that I can help lift up. In whatever small way that I can. I am not, so just last night, for example, we did a karaoke night. No one's life was changed or saved by our karaoke night last night. I mean, it was amazing, but no one's life was saved as a result of it. And yet, in every way that I can, there are ways in which I can lift someone up. That network is what gives my life meaning. So I want to end with one more quick video that shows the ways in which my life's been given meaning and also the ways in which we all are called to help fill our lives with meaning and help those around us. So, Josh, if you could switch over to the video.
Can you hear the prayer of the children on bended knee in the shadow of an unknown room, empty eyes with no more tears to cry, turning heavenward toward the if I should die before I awake, I pray my soul to take. Can you feel the hearts of the children aching for home, for something of their very own, reaching hands with nothing to hold on to but hope for a better day, a better day, crying softly, help me to feel the love again. But if unknown roads lead away from home, give me loving arms away from harm. Can you hear the voice of the children softly pleading from silence in a shattered world? Angry guns preach a gospel full of hate, blood of the innocent on their hands, crying softly, help me to feel the sun again. For when darkness clears, I know you're near, bringing peace again. Ooh, na, da, da, da. Can you hear the prayer of the children?
So I want you to walk away today with one question. What is the meaning of your life? And you may have an answer to that question already, and if so, that's great. But if you don't, my challenge to you is to start building that network. Start building that network of meaning, because there are so many people out there who need help. There are people all across the world who need you. There are children who don't have someone to hold them, that if you aren't there, no one is going to do it for you. There are people struggling to feed their family, that if you don't help them, their family will go without food. And even if you don't travel the world, there are people right here who need you. I mentioned that I struggle with depression. My bet is that most of you had no idea that that was true. And so if I can pass and have people not even know, then look around you. How many people around you do you think could use a smile and a hug? No matter what, if you want to get involved in India, by the way, come talk to me. There's all kinds of ways you can help. But no matter what you do, my challenge is to do something, to start building a network of meaning, to give your life as much meaning as it possibly can. And I'm telling you, I promise you, that the more you give of yourself, the easier it becomes to answer the question, what is the meaning of my life? Amen. Our closing hymn is going to be hymn 318, We Would Be One. Please rise and body your voice as we join together in song. Our closing words come from John Angell James. I am only one, but still I am one. I cannot do everything, but still I can do something. And because I cannot do everything, I will not refuse to do the something that I can do.
Clara will now help us to extinguish the chalice. We extinguish this chalice flame, not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts and out into the world until we are together again. And so now our service has ended, and I want to thank Alex and Clara for your beautiful and very meaningful talk. Thank you. As our service ends, now go in peace and take peace wherever you go.